I think I just discovered the biggest traffic hack on YouTube, and it's happening right now during this season of October to January. And it's so easy to do that you don't even have to really change much of what you're doing right now. It's all about what days you're posting and what times you're posting, as well as the topics that you choose to put out on those days. So I actually put together an entire training, which I'm going to take you through right now for free, on what days you should be posting, what topics you should be posting, and exactly how you should prep yourself from October to January of every single year so that you can triple or even quadruple your traffic all the way until June of the following year. So let's jump in. I'm going to show you the dates, the topics, and so much more. It will blow your mind. What we've found over the last couple of years, we've done this for about 3 or 4 years now, and we got really serious about it in 2023. But what you can do is actually triple your traffic between the months of September to January by posting on very strategic days and at strategic times and with strategic topics. So if you do this successfully for, the last couple months of the year, especially November and December, if you're really intentional through November and December, you see a huge improvement in your traffic for those months, but also the months following for up to 6 months. So every year that we've done this, we've seen tripled traffic volume all the way until June. And then we kind of start going back to our normal traffic amounts. So this is a really powerful tool if you're trying to kind of reach that next level in your channel. It's especially helpful if you're just starting your channel and you're trying to get a quick boost, get more subscribers, more views, more exposure. It's really easy to do this during this season. There's a couple reasons for that. One, it's just increased traffic across the board. It's getting colder outside. People are, starting to come inside, look at their phones, look at their TVs more. It's just naturally what we do when it gets cold outside, right? Number 2, people are starting to make buying and selling decisions about their homes during this time of year, especially. So if you're like a real estate agent, a lot of people are looking to move. If you're a local business, a local service provider like a plumber or a roofer, people are starting to make some of those decisions in the fall. So, especially you think about like end of year types of repairs, people go nuts for that type of material on YouTube during this season because they're thinking about tax write-offs. They're thinking about, using up the rest of their insurance benefits. There's so many things that happen at the end of the year. And so this is why it's such a high traffic season for local businesses. And you need to take advantage of this. Another reason why this is the case is because a lot of service providers like real estate agents, plumbers, local businesses, boutiques, a lot of people assume, now not with boutiques, I think boutiques have kind of figured this out, but a lot of local service providers think that most people are not making these decisions. They're slowing down. They're thinking about doing more of the e-commerce shopping, the clothes shopping, the solid goods, the physical goods shopping. They kind of assume that people really are not thinking about those things, and they pull back on their YouTube content. So when you step up and start doing more content, you start doing more intentional content, you actually fill a gap because most people are thinking, I'm going to pull back. I'm kind of done for the end of the year. I'll get started again in January. YouTube does not like it when you pull back. It loves it when you push forward, when other people start to leave gaps. So this is the time of the year to get going on your posting if you've not been really consistent, or if you just want more traffic, more subscribers, more views, and ultimately more reach outs from actual clients. So let's talk about the type of content that you want to do and when to actually release it. I actually have a whole guide on this, by the way, how to hack the holiday algorithm. I'm going to throw that down here in my description. Feel free to use it. It's completely free. You can just click on the link and you can grab it. But again, we double or triple every single year. So back in 2024, this is what we did. It's insane to see the huge traffic, and look how it actually sustained all the way through the rest of that next year, all the way up until June. And actually I could have extended this. We really saw this almost into July, and then we started to see it kind of taper off. So pretty amazing. Oh yeah, this is from last year. This is what happened in the following months. You see how it actually tripled, actually in a couple places it quadrupled almost the traffic right here. Yeah. So, you can see some really big spikes in your traffic, and you don't have to do really anything different than what you're doing right now. Outside of maybe doing a couple of extra videos here and there, or kind of attacking it from multiple angles. It's really kind of just doing the exact same thing you're doing, just releasing on strategic days. So I'm going to go through just kind of some examples for different industries of what you would kind of want to tackle in terms of your topics. So topics wise, you want to kind of go as broad as you possibly can that's still relevant to your niche and your market. So maybe for a plumber, in your case, instead of focusing on how to unclog your kitchen sink, you're going to talk about the top drains that clog in a brand new house and how to avoid it, or the top plumbing mistakes that new construction homes might have. So we're talking more about, like, as a whole, you're looking for the highest volume search, the highest volume topics that you possibly can attack. You're going to release those on the high traffic days. So here's kind of a hack for you on how to find these topics. You can go in here. We use Channel Studio. This is my favorite. This is what we call a KRT, by the way. It's a keyword research tool, but something like a TubeBuddy, a vidIQ, a Channel Studio, these are all KRTs. I like Channel Studio personally. It gives you a lot of options, and it just comes with so many features. You can get actually a free trial if you're interested in that. I'll put that down in the description too. But what you're going to want to do is just look for the broadest possible topics. So again, we focus a lot on real estate channels, and so Dallas, Texas is one that I would be interested in seeing more about. So I did a quick search for Dallas, and what I came down here and found was Dallas weather is one of the top things that's being searched this month. We get over 1 million searches for weather, Dallas, and Dallas weather. So maybe doing a video about, does it ever snow in Dallas, or weather in Dallas during fall, or something along those lines. That would be a really good topic because, again, it's broad. We're not talking about a specific location. We're not talking, we are talking about a location, but we're not talking about a specific suburb. We're not talking about a specific neighborhood. We're talking about Dallas as a whole. The reason for this, especially for like a real estate agent, you're talking to people who are potentially relocating from other states. They're not as focused on moving to a suburb or a city as they are to the main hub of Dallas. They're probably relocating for a job, for, some other reason, that is specific to them. So they're not necessarily looking at a specific suburb. They're looking at an area and trying to decide where to go next. So you have to catch them with the biggest net that you can. So going with Dallas versus saying Prosper, Texas, or even Frisco, Texas would be a really good option for one of those high volume topics. Now, Frisco is another high volume area. That could be a second one that you could tackle because we like to say around here it's the DFFW instead of the DFW, Dallas, Frisco, Fort Worth. So, Frisco in and of itself is kind of its own hub. So that would be a good one to tackle as well. I'm sure that has really high search volume right now as well. But you want to go super wide. So again, like with a plumber, we're talking more about like the full house instead of just a certain part of the house. Say that you're a boutique owner. We're not going to talk about specific types of clothing. We're going to talk about clothing trends for the season instead of just talking about these cute dresses or whatever. That's a really bad example, but I'm just trying to show you kind of what a broader topic looks like. We're going for super high volume. It's okay if there's a little bit of competition, a little bit of lower optimization strength. We're really looking for the numbers right here, the monthly searches. That's the most important thing. So that being said, there are some specific days that have just historically just blown it out of the park for us. So I'm going to show you those dates. And again, this is all in my guide, so you are free to get this. It's completely free. But I'll take you through some of these dates and then you can kind of make some plans because you really want, what you're going to notice on here is that there's some days that were really good in 2023, some days that were really good in 2024, and then there were some days that were good both of the years. This is a 2-year study. Next year, we'll be doing this again. I'll probably do a 3-year study next year just because, again, got very intentional about it in 2023. So let's go ahead and go through this here. So we're already through September, October. You can always look at those again if you're coming back in 2026 and watching this. These are still going to be relevant next year. I'm sure I'll be redoing this entire video then too to show you the updated results of what happened in 2025. But let's look in November because here we are. I'm dropping this in November. So this first week, we've had a couple of scattered dates, kind of starting to warm yourself up, right? Next week, one little outlier, nothing super crazy next week. This is really good that you're watching this now. If you're watching this in the first 2 weeks of November, because it gives you a chance to kind of warm it up a little bit. Just make sure you're being consistent leading up to, this third week, because here we are in the third week, we had a date that was consistent across 2 years. I'm pretty sure too, back in 2022, we had this exact same day. I'm pretty sure. I did not throw it into this one because, again, the intentionality came in 2023. But 2020 or the 21st of November, very, very important day to post. So what I would recommend is if you're normally posting on like a Tuesday, push it to Friday or post twice that week. It's never going to hurt you to post a little bit more one week. YouTube loves that stuff. Or if you're normally a Monday, Wednesday, consider moving to like a Tuesday, Friday. Again, changing your day here and there, especially when you're responding to how your audience things that your audience is going to want to see, responding to just the general audience on YouTube, that is going to help your channel. It won't hurt for you to change a day here or there. So the next one that we're looking at here is the 27th and 28th. Now, this is just interesting because last year, I believe that Thanksgiving was on the 28th. So, or no, it was on the it was on that Friday. Anyway, so these two dates I'm kind of looking at they're almost the same day. So if you decided that you wanted to do the 27th or the 28th, either one of those is going to be good for you. These were peak days for us both years. So choose one of those days. What I will say is on holidays, you're going to want to adjust your time just a little bit. Thanksgiving, you want to go probably later than what you were doing before. Most of the time, people are not going to be watching stuff in the morning. You have to just kind of think about what are people doing? What are people doing in real life? And how would they respond in real life based on what I know about people? If you're always thinking about user psychology, viewer psychology, you'll never struggle with leads. That's what I always say. So if people are cooking all day in the morning for Thanksgiving, they're probably not watching a video. So typically we like to release ours around 5 or 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That gives our East Coast people a chance to eat and go veg and go watch the video. So usually just push it a little bit later into the evening. If you do have channel stats, go look at your channel stats and adjust what you would post normally on that day. So say that your normal posting time is 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, adjust by 3 to 4 hours on a holiday. Okay. So that would put you at like 7 or 8 p.m. actually in that case. So just adjust by 3 or 4 hours and that gives people a chance to go and watch it based on when they would actually be on a computer or a phone or something like that. All right, so the 30th was a good day, but that's kind of an outlier. Oh man, look at December. December is chock full of these days. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit for you so you can see these really, really clearly. The 14th, banger, 2 years in a row. Definitely plan something really good. That is going to be on a Sunday this year, so plan for it. So if you normally post on Monday, post on Sunday instead. If you normally post on Saturday, post on Sunday instead. 21st, another big day. I would definitely post on that day. The 24th, we've had some years that it's totally hit. 25th, every single time we have high traffic on this day. So I would probably post on this day. Again, I would probably do it a little bit later just because, again, especially if you're serving families and a lot of local service providers are serving, middle-class families, you're generally going to have presence in the morning, right? And then in the afternoon, people are kind of taking a break and chilling on the couch, right? So I would plan, 3 or 4 hours difference if you have a morning posting time, maybe, a little bit earlier if you normally have an evening posting time, kind of find your middle ground there. Just kind of think about when people are awake and doing their thing. All right, 28th is another big day. So really the last 2 weeks of December, I would just plan on completely changing your posting schedule, especially if you're doing like 2 videos a week. Plan on doing Sunday and Thursday this year. Sunday and Thursday, right? Because then again, we got another big one with New Year's being on Thursday again this year. And this has been a huge day for us every year. This one, New Year's Day, posted in the morning. We usually do like a 10 a.m., 11 a.m. maybe, Eastern Standard Time. People are ready to get back into things. They're vegging because they all hung out the night before, but they're ready to get into new habits. They're ready to start researching stuff. So usually morning is going to be better on New Year's Day. And then the 11th, random, super random, but 2 years in a row, we've had really high traffic on the 11th, which is again a Sunday this year. So just make sure that you're planning your best content for these times. Now, some ideas for you. Let me pull out my little notepad here, because a few things that you're going to want to consider as you do your videos are a couple of different ways to just really push the traffic. Controversial topics. Okay, so if you're doing don't move to Dallas, again, it's a very broad topic. but it still applies to your area. It's also a little bit negative, so the controversial aspect is going to push that out a little bit more, especially if you're not normally doing negative videos. That's going to be really good. So again, with the example of the plumber, the biggest mistake new homeowners make with their drains, or something along those lines, something really negative and jarring. That's going to be a really good way to get extra views and open you up to new audiences. Another thing that you can do, pros and cons videos. This works for local service providers too. The pros and cons of having a tin roof versus having an asphalt roof, or whatever those, I think it's asphalt, right? I don't know anything about roofing, but I do know that something along those lines is something that a new builder or someone who's replacing the roof is going to be thinking about at the end of the year, right? So pros and cons is going to be a great one for you to do for a real estate agent. Pros and cons of moving to Dallas, Texas, or Frisco, Texas. Again, those big areas are going to be better than the little suburbs. Another thing you can do is, if you are in an area, maybe you've been doing your YouTube channel for a while and you've done some topics a year ago that were super successful, got really good viewership on your channel, redo them. It's totally okay to redo topics, because most people are looking for timely responses to things. This is really, really critical for a real estate agent to do, because real estate, it's by season, right? A lot of people are moving and they don't know what an area looks like in the fall versus the spring or the summer. And so they need to see that area in all seasons of the year, because that's what they're going to be dealing with if they move there, right? If they make a permanent move someplace, they want to know what it's like in all seasons. I was just talking to one of our students today, and he lives in Florida, and we were just talking about how he needs to redo one of his videos that he did in the spring, because now it's fall. And a lot of people wonder, like, what is fall and winter like in Florida, especially when they're moving from places like a New York or Minnesota or Oregon, right? Nobody really knows what that looks like when they live in different states. So you need to redo that every single season. That's a great way to reuse something that you know was successful the first time, but in a new season and in a new way. Let's think. A couple of other ideas. A live video. Live videos do really well this time of the year. So, for example, of real estate agents, this is a great place to talk, and this is the only place I would talk about mortgage rates and things of that nature, because people are looking for timely information, right? For a plumber, if you're talking about financing options, that's another really good way to talk about financing options, because most people are going to be really bored looking at financing their toilet replacement or whatever it is that they have to finance. Because that's not what they're researching. But if they see a live video about that and they're in the moment of doing something like that, they're probably going to watch it because it's timely and it's something that is relevant to what they're going through right in that moment. So live videos are another really good way to kind of break through into new audiences and get that extra traffic boost during this time of the year. And then, of course, weather related stuff is always going to do really well. That was another thing me and this student were talking about today. He's in an area where, Florida is known for its hurricanes, right? So talking about hurricanes during hurricane season is going to be something that gets a lot of volume, a lot of traffic and interest and eyeballs. So that's another thing to think about. If you say that you're living up in maybe Maine or Ohio or something like that, where the fall foliage is something that is really, really well known, that's something that you can talk about, because again, that's what we call a semi-seasonal topic, and people will be interested in that again next year. It's still relevant. It's still what we consider mostly evergreen, but it comes around once a year and kind of gets that extra traction. So that's another thing that you can consider. There's so many others, but that's a really good place for you to start for any local business, for any local service provider. Those are the types of things that are really going to help you. And again, if you're posting on these really particular days, you're going to see a huge boost in your traffic. It doesn't matter if you're a brand new agent, a brand new plumber, a brand new boutique owner, a brand new YouTuber. It doesn't matter where you're at in your journey. If you're doing these things on these days, you're going to see a boost from what you would normally see on just a normal day. So now that we've gone through all of these different topics for any small business owner, this will work for any YouTube channel. Whether you have been doing YouTube forever or you're just getting started, this is going to help you get more traffic than you would normally get during this time of the year. A lot, because there's a lot of creators that are pulling back and there's going to be gaps. You will be there to fill the gaps, which is such a huge, amazing place to be. And it's such a rare opportunity on YouTube as we get more and more creators starting to come into the space and educate on YouTube. So anytime there's a gap and you can fill it, it's going to help you out. And hopefully these dates will help you. Again, the entire guide is down in my description and it's totally free. So feel free to grab that, start making use of that actual calendar and get to work. Go get some videos out and enjoy the boost.